The Aful MagicOne. The one stands for a single BA driver. The question is, have there ever been any good BA drivers before this? And I'm going to try to prove right now that there haven't. There have been other attempts at a single BA driver. The Fibre Black. Critical didn't like it. It was $500. It didn't do that well. Precog ranked this IM 265 out of 311, which is lower 15th percentile, which by any standard is poor. The Aful Performer family. They're all right here in their glory, and they're all great IAMs. I've wanted to talk briefly about the build quality of the Aful MagicOne. I want to say that it's fantastic. It has a great fit. It has a good shell. It has a really nice cable. It has a fairly similar case to the Aful Performer 5. And it's an overall really nice setup. I think the cable is fantastic. I think it might be the best cable out of the bunch. It looks good. It feels good. No complaints about build quality. So the next question we need to ask is, how does it sound? Okay, let's talk the Aful MagicOne sound profile. I think the sound profile is really good. It's really sweet. It's really clean. It's really pure. There's a drawing floating around that I'll show right here. And that drawing is basically of what's going on with this driver. And this driver, you know, most things I'll have a treble unit, a mid-range unit, and a bass unit. And most IAMs nowadays, I feel, are hybrids. Or at least most of the IAMs that I've kind of gotten used to are hybrids. And, well, I mean, even the Aful 5, the Aful 8 are both in this case where they, you know, typically the bass is done by a dynamic, and then the mid-range and the treble are done by certain specialized BA drivers, which is a whole nother topic that we can get into. This IM is special. It's a single BA driver. It doesn't have anything else going on. It's pure. It's simple. It's clean. And the sound profile is very much like that. I want to be careful about how great I say this IM is. But I want to say that there are elements in certain songs that this IM is going to hit, and it's going to feel really, really good. Like, when this IM hits female vocals, it is unlike anything I've ever heard. Like, it makes my other IMs that I have sometimes feel dwarfed in comparison, and it has a very cool, unique experience. It's something that isn't read by a graph, and I wish it were. But like, the fact is that graphs can only give us so much. So my audiophile subjective experience to this IM is that it is absolutely bonkers. It's absolutely wild to me how good this thing can sound. Like, if this thing can sound this good, what else could this company do later on? And that's kind of what I think about it. It's just that it's so pure, it's so clean. What's interesting about it is that it slaps into a profile that's so much stronger and so much higher than it normally is. Certain songs and certain tracks are going to sound magical. They probably could have called this Aful One, you know, BA driver, but they actually gave it a name. The MagicOne. A snowflake theme, right? Not just, you know, it's like a twinkling magical theme, and man, does it fit. Again, what's awesome about this unit is not that it does everything well. I'm not going to say it does everything well. But this is an audiophile IEM. This is for people that love earphones. If you love earphones, this is something that I think that you need to experience. For $140, you can take this home, experience it in your house, and hear some of your tracks in the most sweet, beautiful notion that you've ever heard. It has this presence of where the vocals just seem to pop out at you, and it's just remarkable. That it's not without its flaws, and that sometimes I do prefer the P5 or the P8 over this IEM. I'm not going to tell you that, well, you know, if you have the P5 and the P8, you need to run out and get this, especially if you're the kind of person that has only one IEM. But this IEM is not only a special audiophile IEM that I think anyone who owns multiple sets of earphones is doing them a disservice to the community for not listening to this and not hearing this IEM. But this IEM is very competitive at the strange, almost cursed, you know, $100 and $100 to $50 range. Where I think at the $150, it's the question of, can it really compete with the higher end or can it not? And I want to say that, like, all of my music, I would give it at least a 10 out of 10. Some of it's like, you know, 7 or 8 out of 10. Some of it's a little bit off. But it's not like I'll hear it and be like, oh, This IEM feels like it has zero distortion. And it's absolutely mental how little distortion I feel that comes out. And I don't know, I feel like maybe I'm talking this IEM up a little bit too much. But I want to say that this IEM is special. It is unique. It is beautiful in its design, its packaging, its layout. I mean, it just has a lot going on with it. I can't say enough good things about this. I wanted to talk a little bit about vocals on this IEM. Like, Omi Babino Caro is just fantastic. This really does a good job at having a sweetness, like a female vocal centric style IEM. This song right here, Que Cuisa Niña, it also sounds really good. Like, anything with punchy female vocals really stands out. Okay, let's talk about the MagicOne. I did graph this a couple of times if you want to look at both of these. This is the one I graphed with foams. And here's our graph with Divinus tips. So we're going to go and look at a few graphs. We're going to get rid of the one with Divinus Velvet and just go with the one with the foams, which, again, pretty close. But I mean, you notice that that is very close to my target. It's flat in the treble. It has a nice, good rise. I mean, let's look at a few of its friends. Let's look at the Performer 5, the Performer 8, and then we'll look at a few others. All right, so we look at the Performer 5, and you'll definitely notice a lot more bass in the Performer 5, like a higher ear gain that'll come up in here. I think the Performer 5 definitely has more details and resolution, but the MagicOne, it is a very special driver. It does sound really clean, really clear, and really quite magical. I really like it for its sonic characteristics. I don't think it's the all-arounder that some of these others are, and I don't think everybody needs to buy this if they already have, say, a Performer 5 or a Performer 8 or even the Chopin. I don't think you need to go out here and buy the Aful MagicOne. But for collectors, for people that have never had an Aful IEM before, this is such a great set. But yeah, so the Aful Performer 5 has a lot better bass response in there, and you'll definitely feel that on certain tracks. MagicOne doesn't really hit. It feels a little anemic, but Performer 5 definitely slams. It has that bass quality, but I think the quality of the treble on the MagicOne is actually better than on the Performer 5. It's much better. All right, let's look at some other ones. Let's look at one of my favorite IEMs, especially at the price. Let's look at the Aful Performer 8, and you'll notice these, these are both a little different. We normalize these at, say, maybe 300. You'll get a better idea of what you're looking at. But the Performer 8 has a different treble gain. It's actually the graph. If you want to talk graphically, the MagicOne has a better graph than the Performer 8, although I think the Performer 8 does have much better detail, and so that's something to think. But if you look at him right here with it normalized at 300 rather than 500, you'll notice there's just a lot different treble, but the treble region is about the same. I think the MagicOne has almost on par treble with the with the Aful Performer 8. It is really, really nice, and I really recommend it. So yeah, there's that. I mean, how does this compare against other things in the market? Let's look at a few others. Okay, so let's talk about the Schmeilcarl versus the Aful MagicOne. And you'll notice they have a lot different energy. I think the Schmeilcarl is a lot more V-shaped. It has a lot earlier ear gain, and it has a weird sound on certain tracks. So I think that's something to note. I do think it is very good. And it has a little bit more of a pleasing overall tonality. I think the Cantor Schmeilcarl has some great things going on with its driver as well. And I think these kind of go toe to toe, and both having their own minor imperfections about things that they need to do. The Aful MagicOne is a special IEM because it has that single BA driver, and it does have those tubes that make it sound incredible. And it makes certain tracks and certain things sound extremely unique, extremely beautiful. It's reminiscent of a much more expensive IEM, and it does some great things that I've just like, wow, it's really cool. It really surprises me. And this IEM is just absolutely fantastic on certain tracks for its clarity, its resolution, detail retrieval, and just overall dynamics. A few others I wanted to compare this to, personal favorite of mine, the Nova. Let's compare this to the Nova. Now these are going to be really similar in price. And so this is kind of this is a good call about what are you looking for? What do you need? I think one, you're getting like a budget kind of weirdly resolution variations. Whereas with the MagicOne, you're getting something that's a much smaller shell. You're getting a unique driver. You're getting a unique look. All right, so we look at the Supernova, and you can tell that these have very similar graphs. Like the Aful MagicOne, it's so similar. Like, granted, there's a little bit of bass presence that you might find lacking in the MagicOne, but that's about it. Like, the treble's nice, the mids are nice. Like, I'll forget what IEM I have in. I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely have in the Supernova or the Monarch Mark III. And those are my two pretty much go-to amazing sets. The MagicOne, it will push barriers that doesn't make any sense on certain tracks and sound fantastic. As far as like, is it as natural? Is the timbre as nice and pure? No, there's other times where, again, I would prefer other IEMs, like another one to look at would be, to me, the Chopin just has such a different energy. I mean, they both have very similar treble responses, and then the MagicOne kind of has a little bit more of a dip as we go from there in the bass. So I mean, I think the Aful MagicOne does need a little bit more bass, but it also doesn't have that bass touch the Chopin has. It has certain things about it that are just like, wow, really fantastic. I mean, these compete against each other. Granted, one is $40 or $60 less than the other. They do compete against each other, despite the MagicOne being $60 cheaper. But they're also for a different audience, just like the Nova. I mean, personally, if someone was like, "Hey, Jates, what are you gonna buy for? If you had $200, what would you buy?" I would definitely go with the Chopin. It's a really phenomenal set, but the MagicOne is one of those IEMs that is special. It's unique. It proves there is something special about this driver. It's mind-boggling to me. Like, I feel like in the market right now, everybody's just trying to copy everyone else. Everybody's just kind of peeking at other people's homework and be like, "Hey, what are you doing there?" Whereas Aful is doing something different. They're doing something unique. They only release about an IEM every 6 months. Like, their last release was about 5 months ago, and the Performer 5 came out almost exactly a year ago. So they don't release an IEM every month all the time. So when they do release something, I feel that it has time, effort, energy. I think this is a really special set. But suffice it to say, this is a very nice squig. This is a very nice graph. This is a very well-tuned IEM, and it is a beautiful, amazing product that I think competes with stuff in a much higher plane, and it's just lovely. Okay, let's talk final ratings for this IEM. First of all, it's been hard to think about this IEM because it punches above, I think, the Aful 5 in many ways, and that's a little bit frustrating and almost ridiculous to say. But I think tuning the Aful 1, I'm probably gonna have to give, say, an A+. I really like it. I can listen to it without EQ, but could it benefit from EQ? Yeah, absolutely it could. As far as technicals, man, this thing has really good treble. I think the treble is better than the Aful 5. I think it's really fantastic. As far as bass, mids, and treble, I think the bass is at a 6. I think it could be a little bit better. I think its mids are nice. They would be better if they felt a little bit less sweet and like umphy. I think there's something with a little bit more bass presence, but I think if you EQ, you can get a little bit better bass presence from this driver still. But I do feel that the driver technical bass is a little bit, just a very little bit lacking. But overall, the treble is just phenomenal. I find that it's clean, it's pure, it's really nice. I'm gonna give this a 92. It's the highest scored, IEM that I've rated under 150. It's very nice. It's an easy win. It's a great, fantastic IEM to put in your set. I feel like if you're one of the people that owns more than 3 or 4 IEMs, you have to buy this. If you're looking for a set and you only have $140, go for it. If you have a little bit more and you like a little bit richer bass, you might want to go for the P5 or even the Chopin that's also sold by Hifigo. That's also a really nice set, and I have a review of that as well. There's a lot of competition out there, and so to say that this IEM is better is sometimes disingenuous to other IEMs. What it is it's special. It's sweet, it's pure, and it's a sense of concept. But not only is it that sense of concept, it's something that I could daily. It's something that if I was like, I gotta go on a trip, what am I gonna bring? I could definitely take the Aful MagicOne. I won't say that about every IEM that I review. This IEM, I think, is just remarkably tuned. It has a special driver. It's packaged well. It's beautiful. And I really enjoy what it does to my music. Again, there are some tracks that I do wish for certain things, but this is an IEM as itself competing against other IEMs in its bracket. This is really special. This is not just a Chew 2. This is not just another IEM that's chalked up with silver and a fancy plating that's hyper expensive. This is a well-packaged, beautiful IEM that only costs $140, where most people can afford a taste of hi-fi that'll make some of your music sound better than you have ever heard it before. I wanted to leave you with a teaser for Aful Cantor. There is a page up with some information about it on Hifigo. It looks fantastic. The left one is the version they had at Can Jam SoCal. The right two are from promotional teasers they sent out a few months ago. When I got to hear it, it was buttery smooth. It felt like it had great resolution and is an extremely exciting set that I think sounded even better than the Aful Performer 8. You're still here. It's over. Go home. Go watch another IEM video. It's done. That's the entire video. What more do you want?